Because this is my 50th podcast episode, which is exciting in its own right, and my 3-year business birthday, I thought that I would use this episode to draw back the curtain and share with you 5 lessons that I've learned from growing my own business, which I use now to help my clients and to help you lead your own school. Welcome to the Independent School Podcast. Thinking and acting strategically is the key to both securing the future of your school and helping to build a more equal and just world. My name's Juliette Corbett. I'm a consultant, speaker and facilitator specialising in helping independent schools. In this podcast, I translate tried and tested strategy and fundraising techniques into a language that works for schools. So if you're a senior leader in a private school and you want your daily work to feel less exhausting and more strategic, and if you want once more to feel the joy of making the world a better place through education, then you're in the right place. Welcome, and let's get started on this week's episode. Hello, so I am really excited this week to be pulling the curtain back a little bit on my business, entirely for your benefit. So it's October 2021. And I've been in business now for 3 years, and it's been a real point of reflection actually for me about the impact that I've had and the lessons that I've learned along the way. And that's what I wanted to share with you today. So over the last 3 years, I've worked with 20 schools on strategy, both at the whole school level, and some of those have been creating their first strategy ever, starting from a point of not really understanding what strategy is. Others have been refreshing plans that they've had in place for some time. I've also been working with fundraisers on becoming more strategic in their day-to-day work. And it's been so incredibly rewarding. And it's been really interesting that occasionally on the way, non-schools have asked me to help them as well. So I've worked with a charity that helps Jewish young people, which was really interesting, creating their strategy for them. And also more recently, creating some training around strategic thinking for the International Committee of the Red Cross, which was fascinating as well. Now, I've been working in strategy and fundraising, specifically within education, since 2002. So when I started my business, I knew that I would be able to use all of that wealth of experience to guide my clients. And that's why I wanted to start my own business. And I also knew that I was planning to adapt some of what I'd learnt in those professional roles to help me build the business that I now have. But what I didn't anticipate, and what really took me by surprise, was that what I was learning from building and then growing my own business was also going to be helping the schools that I work with. So because this is my 50th podcast episode, which is exciting in its own right, and my 3-year business birthday, I thought that I would use this episode to draw back the curtain and share with you 5 lessons that I've learned from growing my own business, which I use now to help my clients and to help you lead your own school. Really quickly, before we dive into the detail, I want to make sure that you make the most of the time you invest listening to this podcast. And the best way to do that is to make sure you grab a copy of my free ebook, The Strategic Independent School Leader. It outlines how to answer the 6 essential questions that will clarify your school strategy and secure its future. In the world of business, strategy can be full of jargon, but it doesn't have to be that way. This is a jargon-free tool tailor-made to help private school leaders think and act more strategically. Download your free copy today at www.consultjuliette.co.uk/ebook. Okay, so let's dive into these 5 lessons that I've learnt as I've grown my business that I now use to help the schools. Lesson number 1, share your passion. When you are really vocal about your passions in life, your values, how important you know education can be, that's when you start to attract other people who feel the same as you. So for me in my business, when I started to get a lot clearer on my own brand positioning as a company and really tying it explicitly and externally to my own core values of equality and fairness and the role of education in society, that's when I started to notice having a much bigger impact on potential clients. So as I was talking to potential schools who were kind of had heard of me, were thinking about working with me, when I became much more confident about sharing publicly my values and my passions, that's when people started to really jump on the bandwagon and want to work with me. And there's a big lesson here for schools. There is a risk that, in my case as a company, in your case as a school, we want to be all things to all people. We don't want to put anybody off us, and therefore we get really bland and really boring, and we sound the same as everybody else in our marketplace. So the lesson for schools is don't be afraid to be different. Don't be afraid to share your values, your passion, your vision for how you think education should be. When you do that, there will be a small number of people that don't like it. And that's fine. They are not your people. But you will find that you will naturally attract those people who do feel the same way as you. And there's an added bonus for this for schools. I've talked to a number of heads about this who have expressed the fact that as they've become more bold in saying what they are and what they are not, what their values are, what their passion is, they have found that the new parents that they're attracting are more in alignment with their vision, in alignment with the ethos of the school. And therefore, those parents are much more likely to be having the same frame of mind about certain challenges that come up along the way, certain questions that get asked around their own child's experience at the school. You're more likely to be able to navigate those waters, which we all know can sometimes get a bit tricky with parents. You're more likely to be able to navigate those waters with confidence when you know you have attracted those parents to your school because they believe in the same things you do. So that's lesson number 1, share your passion. Lesson number 2, it is also a numbers game. So what I've learned along the way is, yes, sharing your passion is all very important. Being out there, knowing who you are and what you're offering and the impact that you can have on others is very important. But it's also about talking to lots and lots of people. People will say no. They don't want to work with you. They don't want to send their child to your school. That's fine. That's okay. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. What's critically important is that we keep reaching out and finding people who share our values and who, in my case, who I can serve, who I can help to deliver the strategy for their school or the fundraising for the school that they're looking for. So it is about passion. It is about authenticity and about delivery on the promises that you make, but it's also about a numbers game. This is not about sort of hitting sales targets or anything really kind of uncomfortable and quite kind of sleazy. This is just about getting out there, continuing to reach out and talk to people and getting those numbers up, those number of conversations up. So the lesson for schools here is specifically really most obvious for your fundraisers and those in your admissions teams. And the key here is that the quantity, the pure number of people that you talk to makes a big difference. Keep reaching out every single week, every single day to make sure that you're having conversations over and over again with new people. It is about having quantity of conversations as well as the quality of that interaction as well. Now, I'm not a massive fan of targets, I'll have to be honest with you. Sometimes they make me feel a bit nervous, make me feel a bit kind of under pressure in a way that doesn't help me perform at my best. But targets around the activities that you're taking to reach out to people is really, really helpful. And this is something I work with fundraisers on a lot. So for example, don't have a fundraising target because that really puts the pressure on, in terms of how much money you're going to bring in this month. That's not actually that helpful and makes it quite short-termist, which is also not helpful. But do have a target for the number of people you will talk to this month, the number of new contacts you're going to make this month. Have a target per week, and really stick to it and hold yourself accountable, because it is a numbers game as well as about the quality of what you're putting out there. So lesson number 3, you can't do it alone. Now, I'm going to be really open with you here. I hate the idea that I have to ask for help from anyone. My husband will tell you the same, just as my PA will tell you the same. I hate the idea that I cannot do and be everything in my business to everyone. But the truth is, I can't do it alone. You can't do it alone. And there are 2 ways in which you need to make sure that as a school and as an individual, you have the support you need to enable you to do your job. So the way that looks like for me is ensuring that I firstly have access to expert advice. So I've had a couple of coaches during this journey that are helping me around my attitudes to the work that I do and to building my actual business. And I also have a fantastic PA, and I'm actually going to give a shout out to Laura Woodward Drake, my PA. Any of you who have interacted with her because we've worked together or because you've responded to an email that I send that week or whatever it is, you'll have seen the impact that she has in enabling me to deliver and to serve others. That combination of expert advice and admin support is critical to my success. And the lesson for schools here is very obviously the same. First of all, bring in the expertise that you need to build success faster. I have no doubt that you will eventually get there with whatever you need to do, because you're clever, you're intelligent, you're hardworking. You will get there a lot faster and with a lot less stress if you bring in the expertise you need to get there quicker and to use that best practice and experience that expert brings. So that might be a facilitator for a strategy session with your governors or your senior leadership team. It might be a staff training, so an inset training workshop, teaching everybody in your staff about strategy and their role in strategy. It might be making sure you have a kind of a coach relationship with a consultant to support your fundraiser. Yeah. So you'll have noticed in that list that those are all the things that I do to help people. There are many other experts out there that you can help you too. And then the second part of this is you have to have the admin support. If your senior leadership team and your senior leaders within departments, such as your director of development, your director of admissions, director of marketing, however you've structured your hierarchy, if those key people don't have the admin support they need, they will be spending a lot of time doing very expensive diary management, database input, all the sorts of things that really an administrator should be doing to free up those senior leaders to be doing the more strategic work that they need to be doing. So lesson number 3, you can't do it alone as much as you think you might want to, or you think you can, or have a pride around the fact that you think you can do it alone. You'll get there a lot faster, as I have experienced, with expert advice and admin support. So moving on to lesson number 4. Using technology can improve both customer experience and your efficiency. I was actually a little bit slower than I should have been to really use technology to its full advantage in my business. Full clarity on this one. So I thought that by using a diary booking system, by using an invoicing system which would allow people to check which invoices they paid and which ones are still outstanding, I thought all of these things would detract from the personalised service that I wanted to offer my clients. What I have somewhat belatedly but now passionately believe and discovered is that technology can actually improve your customer's experience, so improve your parents' experience, your pupil experience, or in my case, my client's experience. And it can make me and you much more efficient, super efficient in the way that you're using your time. Now that is a big win-win on both sides. And I have become a big fan of technology tools which can make me more efficient as long as they also improve customer experience. So the lesson for schools here, there are many lessons for schools here. Pretty much anyone across your school, there are tools out there which could help them become more efficient. There are a couple that I've listed in one of my previous podcast episodes. If you jump back to episode 28, and I'll put a link to that in my episode notes for this time, you can hear me talking about the top tools that I use, from diary management to graphic design, social media scheduling to project management. So listen to that for my top tips for the tools that I find useful, but also encourage your school staff, everyone in your school, to be on the lookout for technology that can make their life easier, that will also improve your pupils and parents and alumni experience. Lesson number 5. It's so beneficial to have a daily practice that enables you to focus on priorities. This is something that actually I talk about a lot in other podcasts. I talked a lot about it back in podcast 47 to do with making sure you're focusing your time on what's important. And it's actually the backbone of strategy. But I have to say that I had not realised the importance of it until my business started taking off and growing much more quickly than I'd anticipated and that I actually had capacity for. And I realised that I had to have a daily way of focusing on my strategic priorities if I was going to get things done and actually grow the business. Now, what this basically means is identifying what's strategically important for you to be achieving this week, and then carving out time in your week to ensure that you actually deliver it, that you don't get distracted by all of the firefighting and the email inbox and the kind of colleagues popping into your office with the next crisis that you need to be distracted by and go and solve. This is about you being in the driving seat, and whatever your role is in your school, you need to be in the driving seat. You need to control where you spend your time. And that's how you can focus on the things that are strategically important. And what I've learned more and more over the last sort of 3 to 5 years is that strategy, we often think about the big stuff, the big picture, the big strategic plan, the big strategy away. Those are all important. But actually what gets missed is the importance of the daily focus on strategic priorities. And that's how you actually deliver your strategy. So do jump back to episode 47 to listen to that. I'll put the link in the episode notes for this time as well. So those are 5 key lessons that I've learned. Now, I have to admit, as I said at the beginning, I wasn't actually expecting that me building a business would enable me to learn new things to teach my clients. I sort of thought that this was a side project for me, that I'd have to build my business to enable me to serve schools in the way that I wanted to. It's actually far more integrated in terms of the way my business works. Actually, as I've grown my business, I have learned things which I am now teaching my clients about and helping them, obviously adapting everything to the school environment and helping them to understand how they can take that journey forward towards their strategic priorities. So those 5 lessons, just to recap: 1, share your passion. Don't be afraid to be really clear on what your values are and what your passions and beliefs are. Number 2, it is also a numbers game. You have to get out there and talk to lots of people when you're in an external facing role. Number 3, you can't do it alone. However much you might have the capability to do it alone, you will do it faster and more effective and probably better, bringing in the help that you need. Number 4, technology can both make you more efficient and improve customer experience. And given it's a win-win, use it wherever you can. And number 5, have a really clear daily practice so that you can focus on your priorities. So I hope that's useful. This has been a real time of reflection, actually, for me, this kind of 3-year mark, thinking about what I've learned, the journey that I've taken. 50th podcast episode is a bit of a landmark, I have to say, as well. And I always love hearing your feedback. So please let me know, what is it that you've seen that I've been talking about in my podcast, or the way that my business comes out, my emails come out? What is it that you think that I can do better? I love hearing your feedback, your thoughts, and where we should be taking the podcast and my business next. Any thoughts, get in touch. Contact details are on the episode notes. That's it for this time. Thank you very much for sharing this time with me today, and I look forward to talking to you next time. Bye then. Thanks for listening to the Independent School Podcast, the podcast that helps senior leaders in private schools to think and act more strategically, both because they want to secure the future of their school and because they want to help build a more equal and just world. You can listen in everywhere that podcasts are available. And if you want to catch up on previous episodes or follow any of the links that I've mentioned today, just head over to www.consultjuliet.co.uk/podcast.